The bracket contest is not open. Please check back later. Ah. That's right. I purposely did that. I opened a new tab and it's open. That's right, guys. This is my MLB Postseason Bracket Challenge prediction video of 2024. Every year I do this video, but it's always a long one, so please bear with me. I'm going to put timestamps in the description so that you know what I'm talking about throughout this video. So before I make my predictions, I want to talk about the season, my thoughts on it, and other stuff. So, once again, I did not watch much games this year because of these new rule changes that they did last year. I am not a fan of these new rules. I think a lot of people are, but I'm not one of those people that just likes it all of a sudden. I'm not a fan of the pitch clock because I think it's too quick. I think it should be 10 seconds longer, in my opinion. That would be better. And I think that is the main reason why a lot of pitchers got hurt this year. Yeah, I think that's the reason. It would be better if they can make the pitch clock 10 seconds longer. And unfortunately, that pitch clock is going to be part of the postseason again. Yes, last year they introduced that, and it was part of the postseason. And it was just weird, man. It's just too quick, especially in the postseason. I mean, come on. You can have that in spring training, because those games don't count. And what I really don't like is the extra inning rule, where they have a runner starting on second base in the 10th inning, the ghost runner rule. I really don't like that rule. I think that it's the stupidest rule in pro sports history. And a lot of people don't like that rule. And because it's so stupid, the MLB decided not to have that rule in the postseason. Thank you. Why can't you just get rid of it as a whole? You remember, before they introduced that rule, we would always get that super long game, like a 16, 17, 18 inning game. And now we don't see that anymore because of that rule. That rule sucks. But I'm glad that's not part of the postseason, but the pitch clock is, so it is what it is. It's just going to be like last year's postseason. So yeah, I did not watch much games this year because of that rule. But I always look forward to the postseason. I'm always locked in. It's usually exciting. I think it's the most exciting out of the four major sports, in my opinion. So, yeah. Also, even though I did not watch much games this year, I would hear news about it from time to time. I like to listen to sports talk podcasts, and one of them is Baseball Tonight with Buster Olney on ESPN. And I really like listening to that show sometimes. And my favorite announcers are the ESPN guys. They are my favorites. And I really wish they can host more playoff games instead of just the wild card games. But I understand why they can't host the World Series, because the World Series is during the middle of college football season. You know, the ESPN networks, they're big on the college football games. So that's why they can't host the World Series. But it would be great if they can. But, you know, it is what it is. It's been like that for many, many years. But yeah, I would listen to that show. And another show that I like listening to is the Michael Kay Show. You know, Michael Kay is the voice of the New York Yankees. And I like listening to that show because I like the people on it. They mainly talk about New York sports, and I'm not a New York sports fan. I live nowhere near New York City, but I like the people on it. Don LaGreca, the co-host, he's a big Mets fan. And another show that I like to listen to is Mad Dog Unleashed with Christopher Russo on SiriusXM. If you know who Christopher Russo is, and you probably see him on MLB Network's High Heat show and ESPN's First Take. I think it's every Wednesday he's on that show with Stephen A. Smith, and he's really funny. And I really like listening to him to talk about baseball. So yeah, those guys, they will give me news throughout the season. So I sort of know what's going on, but not much. So yeah, this, whenever I do my prediction videos, it always is a big failure, and it's probably going to be another big failure. It's like the mini version of March Madness, if you know what I mean. So, anyways, let me go to the schedule. Before I talk about the schedule, what a doubleheader we just had. Games 161 and 162 between the New York Mets and the Atlanta Braves. Both games were on Monday afternoon because of a hurricane that hit Atlanta last week. This day, Monday, it felt like game 163. Remember that? A couple years ago, they had a game 163 tiebreaker games, but they can't have that anymore, unfortunately. But I miss that. But this doubleheader, it kind of feels like a game 163, except it's two games with the two same teams. Man, so I was following the score for both games. What a game one. Let me go to the box score. What a game one this was. The New York Mets won game one by a final score of 8-7. And it was the Atlanta Braves took a 2-0 lead in the bottom of the third inning. Then they scored another run in the sixth inning. And then the Mets scored 6 runs in the eighth inning to make it 6-3. And then in the bottom of the eighth inning, the Braves score 4 runs and they take the lead again, 8-7. And then in the ninth inning, the New York Mets scored 2 more runs to win game one. That is probably one of the best baseball games of all time, especially towards the end. I cannot believe that. Look at this. 12 combined runs scored in the last 2 innings. My goodness. And look at the win probability. It's like a roller coaster, Mets 91.9% chance to win, and then it's Atlanta Braves 93.5%, and then back up to the Mets. Yeah, it is crazy. So, what a game that was. And I wasn't watching the game because I was at work, but I was listening to Christopher Mad Dog Russo, and he was watching the game and providing updates. And it was just so funny. He was like doing his own play-by-play. Oh, man. So, thanks to him for giving us the news. And then the second game, it was a must-win for the Atlanta Braves. And we all knew the second game would be much quicker than the first game. The New York Mets, I was watching the second half of this game. The New York Mets weren't really trying to win because they clinched the postseason with Game 1's victory, so the Atlanta Braves needed to win Game 2, and they won by a final score of 3-0. And this means both teams are in the postseason, and this means, let me go to the standings. This means that the Arizona Diamondbacks are eliminated. Last year's World Series runner-up team are out in this year's postseason. Yeah, these 3 teams have the same record, 89 wins and 73 losses. but the Mets and the Braves snuck in at the very end, the last day of the regular season, and unfortunately for the Arizona Diamondbacks, they are out. And I did a prediction short of me talking about this doubleheader on which team do I think is out, and I thought the Mets would be out. You know, a month ago it looked like the Mets were going to be out, but then they got better towards the end of the season, and they got in. And wow, what a story that is. And it is kind of unfortunate, you know, for the Diamondbacks. You know, they made to the World Series last year, which I still cannot believe that team made the World Series last year. And last year, they won 84 games, I believe. This year, they won 5 more games, and this time they didn't make the postseason. Isn't that crazy? That is weird. By the way, this is also weird. I looked at the standings to see when was the last time we had a postseason where the 2 World Series teams from the previous year are not in this year's postseason. The last time that happened was in 2007. So the previous year, the 2006 World Series, was the Detroit Tigers and the St. Louis Cardinals. Both the Tigers and the Cardinals did not make the postseason the following year in 2007. So it's been about 17 years since the last time where last year's World Series teams did not make the next year's postseason, which is the Texas Rangers and the Arizona Diamondbacks. Yeah. Wow. So, obviously the saddest story this season has been the Chicago White Sox. 41 wins and 121 losses. They broke the record. They have the most losses in modern baseball history. More losses than the 1962 New York Mets. That team lost 120 games. This year's White Sox team lost 121. Wow. 62 years. Man. That is... I have no words, you know. I mean, look at that. The Minnesota Twins have doubled the wins than the White Sox. 82. That's crazy. The second worst team is... I believe it's the Colorado Rockies, and they have 20 more wins than the White Sox. Like, that's how bad the White Sox are. And last week, they swept the Angels. When you get swept by the White Sox late in the season, you are not trying. I'm sorry. But, yeah. Anyways, you know, last year, the New York Yankees did not make the postseason, and people were saying, oh, y'all need to fire their manager, Aaron Boone. And I'm like, come on. I knew the Yankees would come back in the postseason this year. And they are the best team in the American League with 94 wins. By the way, usually every year we have a team that has 100 wins or more. I believe the last time that happened was in 2013. The last time no team has won 100 games. I believe that was about 10 years ago. So, yeah. All right. I believe... Let's go back to the schedule. So here is the schedule. Here's another thing that I don't like. And I said this last year, I'll say it again. I don't like that all 4 wildcard games are all played on 3 days. Like, all the wildcard games will be played on all 3 days. I don't like that. especially after what just happened in the doubleheader between the Mets and the Braves. So on Sunday, the New York Mets were in Milwaukee. So they had to fly from Milwaukee to Atlanta. And now they have to fly back to Milwaukee today. Yeah, the postseason starts today. In my opinion, the National League wildcard game should start on Wednesday. Give the Mets and the Braves a day of rest. And they have to travel. I don't know why the MLB didn't thought of doing that. I heard Christopher Mad Dog Russo said that. It makes no sense. You know what else doesn't make sense? There are no games on Friday. That's absurd. No games on Friday? They're doing this crap again. They did this last year, and they're doing it again. That's why, in my opinion, the National League wildcard game should start on Wednesday. Game 2 will be on Thursday, and then Game 3, if necessary, can be on Friday. But instead, you're not having any games on Friday? Really? And then they decided to do this again. They're going to have all the Division Series games on a college football Saturday. Not a good idea, in my opinion. They're doing this again, and I don't like that. And then look. So, National League and the American League Division Series all begin on Saturday, and then Sunday... Oh, wait. Oop, that's the wrong Sunday. Sunday, October the 6th. Look, it's only the National League Division Series. The American League Division Series have a day off. Why is that? Is it because it's on NFL Sunday? I don't understand that. I can easily make this schedule more reasonable, especially after that doubleheader. I mean, come on. It would make more sense, right? I bet you all the Mets and Braves fans are saying the exact same thing. Okay. I just want to get that all out of my chest before I make my predictions. So I believe that's it. Let's get into the bracket challenge, shall we? Alright. Wow, 17 and a half minutes and I haven't even done this. I told you guys, every year this video's long, but that's okay. Alright, let me make this bigger. Alright, that's big enough. Oop. How do I change that? Okay, there we go. Alright. See, I remember years and years ago, it didn't look like this because they didn't add more teams. And the wild card games weren't best of 3. They were just one game. It was like March Madness style. I did not like that. No one liked that. I hope they don't add any more teams in the postseason. 12 is enough. 12 teams is enough. I thought 10 teams was enough, but 12 is enough. I really hope they don't add any more teams. Especially after last year. Like I said, I could not believe the Arizona Diamondbacks got in the World Series last year with only 84 wins, And now they have 89 wins. They didn't make the playoffs. It's crazy. Alright. Here we go. Let's start off with the wild card matchups. The American League. The New York Yankees get a bye, and the Cleveland Guardians. So, oh, wait a second. This is wrong. This is actually wrong. They got the seeding wrong. This is actually wrong. Okay. Okay. Is this a glitch? Because the Detroit Tigers are supposed to play the Houston Astros, and the Kansas City Royals are supposed to play the Baltimore Orioles. And so it looked like it was going to be Orioles against Tigers and Astros against Royals until Sunday happened. On Sunday, what happened was the Detroit Tigers lost and the Kansas City Royals won. And that's why the Kansas City Royals are going to play against the Baltimore Orioles, and the Detroit Tigers are going to play against the Houston Astros. But for some reason, the website did not change that. That's a glitch. What about the bottom? See, look, yeah, they added. This is correct. The Atlanta Braves are going to San Diego Padres, and the New York Mets are going back to face the Milwaukee Brewers. They got that one correct. Let me refresh the page. Let's see if they fix that. Oh, okay, they fixed it. Wow. Alright. But yeah, I don't like that all the wild card games begin today. It should only be the American League, and then tomorrow the National League wild card should begin. I mean, let's be real, guys. It's just too much, in my opinion. Oh well. Okay, so we got the Kansas City Royals taking on the Baltimore Orioles in Baltimore. It's a best of 3, okay? Oh, one more thing. Last year, none of the wild card games came down to Game 3. They were all sweeps. No Game 3 last year. It would be great if all of them goes down to Game 3. Unless if, you know, Houston Astros fan. I don't want that to happen for that game. Anyways. You know, I heard the Kansas City Royals haven't been playing well lately. I think the Orioles are a better team. I'm going to pick them. I think they'll win in 3 games. There we go. Alright, the Detroit Tigers taking on the Houston Astros in Houston. So, like I said, Houston is my favorite team because they're the closest team to my city. But I heard that the Detroit Tigers are a hot team right now. And, you know, Christopher Mad Dog Russo said a couple days ago that if I'm the Houston Astros, I'd rather face the Kansas City Royals. And I agree with him. I wish they're facing the Kansas City Royals. Even though the Royals won on Sunday and the Tigers lost on Sunday, that doesn't really mean much. I still think Detroit is a better team than Kansas City. But another thing is that A.J. Hinch is the manager of the Tigers. He used to be the manager for the Astros until he got fired in 2020. He was part of that cheating scandal in 2017 and 2018. This will be a tough series. And I hate to say this for Houston fans, I think the Detroit Tigers are going to pull this one off in 3 games. I hope I'm wrong, though, but I will root hard for the Houston Astros. Man, the Houston Astros were off to a terrible start at the beginning of the season. What were they, like 9-20? And what a way for them to turn their season around and wound up winning the division. It looked like it was going to be the Seattle Mariners, and then they fired their manager, and then the Houston Astros took over. That's crazy. Wow. Hey, that happened to the Washington Nationals in 2019, and what happened? They wound up winning the World Series. Wow. All right. Moving down here to the National League. So, the Los Angeles Dodgers and the Philadelphia Phillies, they both get a bye. Alright. So, the Atlanta Braves are going to fly all the way to San Diego to take on the Padres. And based on the sports talk that I listen to, a lot of people are saying that the Padres are like the hottest team in baseball right now. I believe that. I mean, they got 93 wins, and I can't see them losing. I really can't see the Braves winning this. I'll be shocked if they do. I think the Padres will take care of business in 2 games. The New York Mets are going to fly back to Milwaukee and take on the Brewers. Wow. It's tough for, whether if the Mets face the Padres or the Brewers. The Mets are a big underdog. I don't know. Can you imagine if the Mets somehow pull this one off? I'll cheer for them. I will cheer for them, but I don't think they're going to win. I think the Brewers will also take care of business in 2 games. All right. So now we got the division series. It's kind of weird that they're doing this again, where game 1 for all 4 matchups will begin on a college football Saturday. No games on Friday. That's very stupid in my opinion. Anyways, the Baltimore Orioles versus the New York Yankees, a division rival matchup. Man, throughout the season, it was back and forth between the Orioles and the Yankees to win the American League East, but towards the end, the Yankees won more games than the Orioles. This is a best of 5, okay. I can kind of see the Orioles winning this, but I think the Yankees are just too good right now. I got the Yankees winning in 4 games. Next, the Detroit Tigers taking on the Cleveland Guardians, another division rivalry matchup. And I heard that a lot of people aren't talking much about the Guardians, and I don't know why. I'm not sure why. You know, a lot of people talk about the Yankees, the Orioles, the Dodgers, the Padres, the Phillies, but they're not really talking about the Guardians much. Listen, this will be a very close matchup in my opinion. I really don't know what to expect. I think because of what I hear, the Detroit Tigers are a hot team. I think they can win this, and I'm going to pick them in 5 games to go to the American League Championship Series. To the National League side, another division rivalry matchup between the San Diego Padres and the Los Angeles Dodgers. I heard that the LA Dodgers don't have good pitching right now, even though they still won 98 games. I think it was 2 years ago the Padres beat the Dodgers to go to the NLCS. And this is the first time where Shohei Ohtani is in the postseason, but he's not pitching. He won't be pitching until next year. Man, what a player. Ah, yes, I know. The 50-50 club. Yes, I know about that. That is history making. Unbelievable. That man is not human. But I think the Dodgers are a better team, in my opinion. But I think this will be a very tight matchup. But I'm still going to pick the Dodgers to win. I'm going to pick them in 5 games. I think the Padres will give them a tight battle. And then we got the Milwaukee Brewers taking on the Philadelphia Phillies. Just like the Guardians, not many people are talking about the Brewers for whatever reason. They easily won the National League Central. But the Phillies, they've been a entertaining team to watch the past couple years. They almost went back to the World Series last year, and they almost won the World Series the year before. Maybe this could be the Phillies' year finally. And I think they'll take care of business against Milwaukee. I think they're going to win this easily, 3-0. Okay, so this is my final 4. The American League Championship Series. The wild card team, Detroit Tigers, taking on the New York Yankees. And I'm sure Yankees fans are happy that they're not going to face the Houston Astros, because whenever they do, the Houston Astros beat the Yankees in the postseason. But that could be the American League Championship Series, Yankees versus Astros. I mean, that'll be huge ratings, even though a lot of people are tired of that matchup. I think the Detroit Tigers' magical run comes to an end. I think the Yankees will beat them 4-1. I think they'll win in 5 games, and they'll advance to the World Series. The NLCS, Phillies versus Dodgers. I forgot to mention the Championship Series and the World Series are best of 7. And, the team that has a better record has more home games. So in this case, the Dodgers have more home games. Could this be the year where we finally get Yankees versus Dodgers? I mean, if that happens, that'll have the biggest ratings in World Series history. I think the biggest one was the Red Sox versus the Dodgers back in 2018. Even though the Red Sox won that World Series pretty easily, but I believe that was the highest ratings. And it was a shame last year's World Series had the lowest ratings. I guess it's because it's two unexpected teams, two teams that are not popular. Yankees are a popular team. The Dodgers are a popular team. The Phillies are a popular team. Okay? So if we get Yankees versus Dodgers, high ratings. Yankees versus Phillies, high ratings. So this will be a very, very interesting matchup. This will be interesting. I can't see a one-sided sweep in this. I am going to pick the Phillies to go to the World Series in 7 games. And my World Series matchup, I have the New York Yankees versus the Philadelphia Phillies. So in this World Series, the Phillies... Wait a minute. Will the Phillies have home field advantage? I think so, because they have one more win than the Yankees, even though the Yankees are a number 1 seed, but that doesn't matter. What matters is whichever team has more wins in the World Series has home field advantage. Remember, for many years, the All-Star Game would determine which team would get home field advantage. That was so stupid. I'm glad that's no longer a thing. These two teams played in the World Series back in 2009, and that was the last time the Yankees were in the World Series. And they won that World Series, their 27th World Series title. Will they win number 28? Whew. Listen. This World Series, I don't really care who wins. If this is the World Series, Yankees versus Phillies, I don't really care who wins. Although I might cheer for the Phillies because they've come close the past couple of years. I like listening to John Sterling, the Yankees play-by-play radio announcer. Yeah, I started listening to him last year, and yes, I know he's a very old man, but he still has it in him. I know he retired at the beginning of the season, but then he came back towards the end of the season. I guess he thinks he can do another postseason run. I mean, that'll be great if, John Sterling sees the Yankees win one more World Series. But I am going to pick the Phillies to win the World Series. I'm going to pick them in... well, they have home field advantage. I think they'll win it at home in 7 games. I think this will be a very close battle. So I have the Phillies winning the World Series. And I believe I picked them last year to win the World Series. So Phillies, if you don't win the World Series, I will not pick you next year to win the World Series, alright? I try not to pick the same teams every year, but I'll be happy whoever wins. I know I said I'm a Houston Astros fan, so you think I would cheer for the Phillies, but I really don't mind. I don't mind seeing the Yankees winning the World Series. I really don't. I'm not a Yankees hater. My least favorite team is the Atlanta Braves because I used to be a Nationals fan, and then I permanently switched to Houston Astros fan because back when I was a Nationals fan, I could not watch the Houston Astros games because their games were blacked out, which is stupid. So I decided to pick a team to follow, and I picked the Washington Nationals. So when I permanently switched to the Houston Astros, that was also the same year where they faced the Nationals in the 2019 World Series, and I'm like, oh man, this is the World Series? My favorite team against my other former favorite team? And then in 2021, the Atlanta Braves beat the Houston Astros, and that just made me dislike the Braves even more. And they're also the Nationals' rival. Yeah, they're in the same division. So anyways, you know what? I would like to see the Mets in the World Series. If the Mets are in the World Series, I will cheer for them, unless if they play the Houston Astros, of course. But if they're in the World Series, and if they don't play the Houston Astros, I'm going to cheer for them. I would like to see, Don LaGreca's team make a run. Who knows? We might get New York versus New York. That'll be crazy. But I'm going to... My final prediction, Phillies winning the World Series in 7 games. Submit my picks, and I don't do these questions. This is just for fun. So thank you guys for watching. I'm sorry this is another long prediction video because I like to give out details and stuff. Some people like that, some people don't. That's why I'm putting timestamps in the description. Yeah, it kind of sucks that you don't really have much time to do this because the postseason starts today. I'm recording this at 2 a.m. before I go to sleep, so I won't forget. Anyways, if anyone's watching this, let me know what you think. Who do you have in your postseason bracket? Who do you have going to the World Series? Which team do you have winning the World Series? Alright, guys. Whew, it's a lot of talking I made, but I always look forward to the postseason. I just wish, the ESPN networks can host more of the postseason, not just the wild card games. It's TBS and Fox once again hosting the later playoff games, but it is what it is. But that's why I'm going to be listening to some games on the radio, because I like the announcers more than the TV announcers. And after the wildcard games, the ESPN announcers will do the rest of the Division Series, the Championship Series, and the World Series on radio. It'll be the same guys, so I really like them on there. I'd say TBS has better announcers than Fox. What I don't like about TBS is they still have that tiny score bug for 7 straight years. Maybe I'll do a video of me talking about that score bug if they keep it again. And for Fox, ever since Joe Buck left, it hasn't been the same since, in my opinion. So, but it was fun while it lasted. But I think it's time for a change. I think maybe NBC should host it, like the good old days. I don't know, but the postseason will be exciting anyways. I will listen to some of the games on the radio, and then of course my favorite sports talk, Buster Olney, Michael Kay, Christopher Mad Dog Russo, and yeah. Alright guys, I believe that is it. So let the postseason begin. Let the postseason begin. Chaos. Anything can happen, especially after last year. Who knows? The World Series might be the Tigers versus the Braves, or the Royals versus the Mets. Yeah. That'll be weird if that really is the World Series, but hey, who knows? Alright guys, thank you for watching once again, and enjoy the postseason. Let me know what you think in the comments. Bye-bye.